You're listening to AI News of the Week, brought to you by the AI Tips and Tools YouTube channel. Subscribe for weekly insights, trends, and updates from the world of artificial intelligence.
Welcome to this new episode of AI News of the Week podcast, brought to you by the AI Tips and Tools YouTube channel.
We've got a really wild deep dive for you today.
We really do because, if you spend your life as a sports fan, you cultivate this deeply emotional, visceral connection to the game.
Oh, totally. You've got the lucky jersey you refuse to wash during the playoffs.
Right. You convince yourself that the momentum shifting in the fourth quarter is this tangible force you can actually feel. You trust your gut, basically.
Yeah, because fandom is built on narratives, you know? The underdog story, the bitter rivalries.
Exactly. But the foundation of how we interact with that magic is, well, it's currently being dismantled by applied mathematics.
It really is. We're seeing a massive paradigm shift.
Which is exactly our mission today. Whether you are a casual fan, maybe a fantasy league nerd, or someone just looking for an edge, we are diving into how AI is replacing gut feelings.
Because we aren't just talking about analyzing a game after the whistle blows anymore.
Yeah, no, not at all. We are stepping into an era where artificial intelligence predicts the entire life cycle of a sport. From drafting the 2026 NFL schedule to calculating the exact outcome of a Friday night Bundesliga match.
And what makes this moment so compelling is just the sheer scale of the data. I mean, these models aren't just looking at a quarterback's completion percentage anymore.
Right, they're looking at way more than that.
Yeah, they're mapping weather systems, measuring the acoustic momentum of crowd noise, and honestly, absorbing the human narratives that drive the leagues.
So let's start right there at the league level, because before you can predict a match, the match has to actually be scheduled.
And the NFL schedule is a logistical nightmare.
It's a mind-bending puzzle. Stadium availability, travel distances, broadcast demands. So USA Today ran this experiment to see if Google's AI chatbot, Gemini, could handle it for the 2026 NFL Week 1 schedule.
Which is tricky because 2026 has some severe logistical anomalies. The season actually kicks off on a Wednesday, September 9th.
Wait, a Wednesday?
Yeah, it completely upends the rhythm of the league. It's solely to accommodate a Thursday game being played in Australia between the Rams and the 49ers.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Gemini had to navigate that, and it did. It accurately placed the Wednesday season opener in Seattle, but then it threw a massive curveball.
It really did. It exposed how large language models actually process sports data.
Right, because for that Wednesday kickoff, Gemini predicted an instant Super Bowl 60 rematch between the Patriots and the Seahawks.
Just threw standard regional pacing completely out the window.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it didn't stop there. It loaded the early Sunday windows with these absolute bloodbath divisional rivalries. Packers versus Bears right out of the gate. Giants versus Commanders.
It just booked the highest stakes narratives possible.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Is Gemini actually predicting a logical, logistical schedule, or is it just acting like a reality TV producer trying to maximize TV ratings?
It's definitely the latter. And it reveals a fundamental truth about how these models are trained. We tend to think of AI as this cold, objective engine, right?
Right, just optimizing flight paths to save money or whatever.
Exactly. But an LLM like Gemini is trained on the collective output of human culture. Decades of sports journalism, fan forums, social media.
So it knows we love the drama.
Yes. It understands the NFL is an entertainment product. It recognizes the statistical pattern that high-drama rematches generate the most engagement. It optimized for the human element because we are the dominant signal in its training data.
That is wild. It's literally holding a mirror up to our own soap opera obsession with sports.
It really is.
And if AI is smart enough to understand the metagame of league scheduling, scaling that down to predict actual outcomes on the pitch is the logical next step.
Which brings us to the consumer tier, the whole democratization of predictive modeling.
Yeah, because now you can just download an app. You basically have a team of MIT statisticians living right in your pocket.
And there are two major apps dominating this space right now that show completely different approaches. You've got Nerdy Tips on Google Play.
Which runs on their NT 4.0 system, right?
Exactly. And then over on Apple, there's Predictify, which is a premium model at about $12.99 a month.
Okay, so let's look at Nerdy Tips first, because the reviews for this one are fascinating. People love the transparency.
Which is so rare in the handicapping industry. Historically, punditry is just confirmation bias. They shout when they win and quietly delete their lost bets.
Oh, 100%. But Nerdy Tips actually lets you download their historical successes and their failures. They aren't just claiming some fake 85% win rate.
Right, you can audit the algorithm's actual historical variance.
Though I should mention, the business transparency isn't quite as good as the data transparency. A few user reviews warned that if you cancel your subscription early, they just immediately cut off your premium access instead of letting the month run out.
Ouch. Yeah, that's definitely a red flag.
Yeah. But looking past that, the analytical depth these apps offer is just staggering. I mean, Predictify isn't just looking at basic win-loss records.
No, they lean heavily into expected goals, or XG, possession maps, and match tempo.
Can you explain expected goals real quick for people who might not know?
Sure, so standard binary outcomes, like who won and who lost, are often polluted by luck. A deflected shot, a bad referee call. But XG strips that variance away. It assigns a mathematical probability to every single shot taken based on distance, angle, defensive pressure.
So it's looking at the quality of the chances, not just the final score.
Exactly. A team might lose 1-0, but if their expected goals were 2.5 and the opponent's was 0.3, the AI knows the losing team actually played better and just got unlucky. Predictify uses those metrics to map true team strength.
But, and this is the big but, the intelligence of that mapping comes with a hidden cost, beyond the $12.99 fee.
The data privacy disclosures.
Right. If you look in the App Store, Predictify is quietly harvesting precise location data from its users. Now, you might just assume, oh, it's for local ads.
But if we're talking about sophisticated prediction engines, it's incredibly naive to think they aren't feeding that geolocation data right back into their own models.
Wait, so they're tracking where the bets are coming from?
Yeah, they're mapping regional sentiment. If the algorithm sees a massive spike of users in North London opening the app and heavily favoring Arsenal, the AI logs that as local, emotional public money.
Oh, wow. So they're tracking the dumb money driven by geographical loyalty?
Exactly. They map your location against the bets you're researching, which refines their understanding of public bias, and then they adjust their own proprietary models to exploit it. You're trading your behavioral data for their math.
That is brilliantly evil. So, okay, it's easy to download an app, but how do these AI betting algorithms actually work under the hood?
We can actually lift the veil on this by looking at insights from the SportBot AI platform, because there isn't just one monolithic AI doing everything.
Right, it's a bunch of specialized machine learning models.
Exactly. Before kickoff, the foundational layer is logistic regression.
Okay, so what does that do?
It handles baseline binary outcomes, like will Arsenal win at home? It isolates variables, home field advantage, travel fatigue, injury reports, and assigns a mathematical weight to get a linear probability.
Right, but sports are messy, especially once the game starts. A player gets injured, the crowd goes wild, the momentum flips. A static model just falls apart live, right?
Completely. That's why the architecture immediately pivots to neural networks the second the whistle blows.
Because they can handle real-time data.
Yeah, think about an NBA game in the third quarter. The neural network is ingesting hundreds of variables simultaneously. The tempo, the foul trouble of the starting five, even live acoustic data from the arena to measure crowd momentum.
So it mimics a human brain spotting patterns, but it adjusts the odds in milliseconds.
Exactly. But then you have sports like soccer, where a draw is a super common outcome. It's a multi-state possibility.
You can't just weigh two teams. You have to account for the stalemate.
Right. And for that, developers use Monte Carlo simulations.
Wait, so instead of just a single math equation, what does it do?
It creates a virtual environment and simulates the match 10,000 times.
10,000 times.
Yeah, and it injects randomized variance into every run. A sudden downpour in one simulation, a red card in another, an unlucky bounce. Then it aggregates it all. So it might say, out of 10,000 runs, the home team won 3,800 times, the away team won 3,300, and they drew 2,900 times.
That gives you an incredibly solid map of the real probabilities.
And the best part is reinforcement learning. The AI learns from its mistakes. If it notices it's bad at predicting Bundesliga games in the rain, it actively rewrites its own parameters for the next week.
It's literally a self-correcting organism.
Breathtakingly precise.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because if everyday bettors have these self-correcting neural networks on their phones, we have to talk about who they are betting against.
The global sports books.
Exactly. The bookmakers are running billion-dollar market-making algorithms from places like Odds Matrix. They adjust odds instantly to guarantee profit. So if a guy with a $12 app tries to beat a multi-billion-dollar trading firm, isn't he basically bringing a pocket knife to a gunfight? It is AI versus AI.
Oh, the house definitely has the massive compute advantage, which is why the goal of these consumer apps isn't actually to predict the future perfectly. You can't beat the bookie's AI at raw prediction.
So what's the strategy?
Arbitrage. You are looking for microscopic mathematical gaps. This brings us to the concept of expected value, or EV.
Right. EV is the metric that separates the emotional fan from the data nerd. It's all about finding the delta between the true probability of an event and the implied probability the bookmaker is offering.
Exactly. Let's go back to that Monte Carlo simulation. Say the AI determines the true probability of draw is 25%, but the bookmaker's AI sees casual fans pouring money on the home team, so they shift their odds. The new odds imply the draw is only an 18% chance.
So there's a 7% gap between the AI's math and the bookie's payout.
And that 7% gap is a value bet. It doesn't mean the game will be a draw. It just means the payout is mathematically superior to the risk. It's like finding a mispriced stock. If a stock is worth $100 but trading at 80 because of public panic, you buy it every time.
Because long-term, buying a mathematical edge guarantees profit.
Right.
But, and this is a huge obstacle, the bookies build in a defense mechanism, the VIG, or the juice.
The guaranteed house margin.
Yeah, they take a cut of the total pool. In the English Premier League, it's about 5.5%, and Serie A it pushes up to 6.2%. So your AI doesn't just need a 1% edge. It has to clear a 6% hurdle just to break even.
And clearing that margin depends heavily on the sport. SportBot AI's own numbers show this. They hit 73% accuracy for UFC, 70% for MLB, but for the Premier League, it drops down to 65%.
Which makes sense when you think about the physical constraints of the games. UFC is a highly controlled, enclosed system, one-on-one combat. Baseball's just an isolated series of pitcher versus batter equations that resets every pitch.
But soccer is a fluid, continuous dynamical system. 22 players in a massive field, a running clock where they're constantly altering ball physics. The complexity scales exponentially.
It's incredibly hard to tame that variance.
And variance is the ultimate test. Even a 75% win probability guarantees failure 1 out of 4 times, which exposes the biggest vulnerability in this whole ecosystem.
The human flaw.
Yes. The technology can be perfectly disciplined, but the human using it is bound by psychology.
It's like plugging a state-of-the-art supercomputer into a cheap, frayed extension cord. The user is the faulty cord. SportBot AI actually audited their Serie A users and found something crazy. Even with a mathematically verified edge, over 60% of their users lost their entire bankroll during a cold streak
60%.
simply because they abandoned bankroll management.
They hit a totally normal statistical losing streak,
Yeah.
which the algorithm expected, and they panicked. Instead of trusting the long-term EV, they let emotion hijack the math.
They started chasing losses, drastically increasing bet sizes to win it back immediately.
They treated an arbitrage tool like a slot machine. You can automate the prediction, but you cannot automate psychological endurance.
Human psychology is stubbornly fixed. We are the bottleneck. Which brings us to the core question we want to ask you, the listener. Do you think AI takes the fun and gut instinct out of being a sports fan? Or is it the ultimate tool to finally level the playing field against these massive sports books? Let us know what you think. Write your opinion down in the comments section below.
And I'll leave you with one final thought to mull over. Right now, value bets exist because there's a slight gap between consumer AI and institutional AI. But as both sides deploy better reinforcement learning, they will inevitably learn each other's behaviors.
Oh, wow.
We are heading toward a future where the betting market becomes perfectly efficient. If AI versus AI forces the odds to perfectly mirror reality, the concept of a value bet might eventually be erased entirely.
A perfectly solved market. The death of the underdog. That is a deeply fascinating and honestly slightly terrifying reality for analysts. To make sure you stay ahead of the algorithms, remind yourself to subscribe to the AI Tips and Tools YouTube channel and activate the notification bell if you haven't done so yet. It ensures you never miss these deep dives into the fast-changing field of AI. Fandom is changing, and the gut feelings are being replaced by predictive data. We'll see you next time.